go. Get them. Runners, on your mark. Let's go. And we are off.
The starting gun goes off, and I'm running New Hampshire's largest road race, the Delta Dental Elliot Corporate 5K Road Race, and culminating another comeback to running after a broken humerus suffered in April. It's a toasty 89 degrees and humid out for the 6:20 p.m. start of this road race. I am a 67-year-old long-time runner. I started running in 1973 when I was in 9th grade when I went out for cross country and track in high school. I ran my first marathon in 1977 when I was a teenager, and I have run a marathon in 6 decades of my life as a teenager, in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. A little bit more on that later. I have run over 50 marathons in that time, my most recent being the Cheap Marathon, which I ran in April. It was rough training for that marathon. I'm getting older as a runner. I was having problems with my feet. I was having problems, I think, being overweight for where I should be for running, and I could really only run every other day. And so after the Cheap Marathon, I said, it's time to lose some weight before I run the Falmouth Road Race, which is next week. And I set a goal of losing between 30 to 40 pounds in that time. Unfortunately, a couple weeks after the Cheap Marathon, I was out running on trails in Falmouth, and while going downhill, I tripped and fell and broke my humerus up by my shoulder. And that took me out of running for almost a couple months as I needed to recover. But in that time, I worked extra hard at my weight loss strategies and eating better and healthier and skipping the ice cream and sugar. When I was able to start back running tentatively again, I was running on tracks or flat rail trails because I don't want to trip again. It's been a problem for me. I found that the added weight loss made my running so much easier. The plantar fasciitis that was stiffening up my feet and crippling my feet started disappearing, and my feet felt so much better as I ran. My hip joint, where I'd had torn labrum surgery many years ago, was feeling better too, and I was running much more smoothly, even without much training. Soon I found I was much fitter, felt much better, and I was much faster. I was also able to run every day. I didn't have to take a day off after each run. I consider this very successful for me, and I also was doing some things with my running stride and running form, which I thought was causing some of my tripping problems as I ran with my unusual stride. And heel lift and a wedge to the outside of my right foot seems to stabilize that right foot a lot better, because I was always falling over to the right side. I would dip down on that side and my foot was inverted on that side. And so I feel much more secure as I run. Instead of feeling my age as I was running, I started to feel younger again. And running was becoming fun, and I wasn't hobbling around after every run. Things were looking very successful for me. Now the question would be how quickly I could get in good enough shape for next week's Falmouth Road Race. I grew up in Falmouth. I first ran this road race in 1975. And of course, it remains my most favorite road race to run. Now here's something wild. I got my number for this year's race. There are 12,000 people running the race. Guess what my number is? 1975. 1975. That's the year I first ran the race. Now, I don't know if that's a wild coincidence or if someone on the race committee decided to give me that number, and having a lot of fun with it, because I think it's a great number to have. I've been getting in shape very quickly, although I don't feel like I have enough time to go as fast as I would like at Falmouth. But I've been getting some good workouts in. A couple weeks ago, I went on the track, did 3 times a mile at a pace of about 7 minutes and 1 second per mile. And 2 weeks ago, I did 3 times 2 miles with an average pace of about 7 minutes and 21 seconds for each mile of those 2 miles. Ideally, I would like to run 7:15 miles for the 7-mile distance of the Falmouth Road Race. If I do that, I will beat the time I ran as a 16-year-old runner back in 1975. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. I think I'll be very happy if I can get under a 7:30 pace for the distance of the race. But maybe it'll be a nice cool day, a little bit of tailwind, and I might get that time I would like. My local running club, the Gate City Striders, runs Monday night trail races throughout the summer, and I've been able to enter 3 of those. I'm very tentative. They're pretty much a flat course, but it's dirt with a lot of rocks and roots, and I'm a little bit wary of tripping. But by the second one, I did pretty well and got very competitive during that race. And then the Monday before Thursday's race, I had an absolute first in my running career at the trail race. I went out much too hard on a hot, humid night. Got very competitive in the first mile, trying to catch every person ahead of me after getting through the tricky, crowded section of the first half mile of the course. And I was doing really, really well the first half of the race. As I hit the turnaround point and started heading home, I started feeling very much off and had lost a lot of energy in my legs. Had about 6 or 7 people catch up to me, and just with about 50 yards to go, my main competitor in the age group caught up, and I had a sprint to the finish line where I threw up for the first time ever in my running history. But I did it well. I didn't just throw up once, I threw up 4 times the second I crossed that finish line. I think my problem was I had drinking way too much water before the start of the race, and the hard pace sort of bubbled it up in me, and I lost the water at the finish line. I about 1 mile in the race here, and the first mile I did in 7 minutes and 15 seconds. I've been very cautious in the race. Usually I like to go out really, really hard. I've always done that in running. I tried to hold back a little, worried about what happened Monday, and also knowing that it was a hot, humid day, and I wanted to try to keep even splits. So it's a straight more than a mile at the beginning of the race going up Elm Street, and it's a long way to go before we take a left turn and then take another left turn and head back on another road towards the finish line. It's somewhat uphill, or at least it seems that way to me. I don't always enjoy this course because of the hills in the second mile, the quick downhills, and the definitely the hills before the finish line. But it's a fun race to do, and it's a fast race to do if you're feeling good. Let's speed things up a bit. I forgot to tell you that the weekend before the race, I got on the scale and I have lost a full 40 pounds since April's cheap marathon. So I'm down to the weight I was when I was running really well 3 years ago, and I'm feeling a whole lot better and a whole lot lighter, and maybe that means I can go a whole lot faster. So it took a lot of perseverance, but here I am. When I was younger, I could eat whatever I wanted, and it just never gained weight because it just ran it off. That doesn't work anymore when you're in your 60s. Running doesn't take off the pounds. You have to be a little more deliberate in the food that you're eating. And, so it took a bit of effort, just as hard as running a lot of miles. We're going to take another left-hand turn up here and head back towards the finish line. There's some downhills on here. They're pretty steep downhills, at least for me. Usually I like to tear down these downhills, but I sort of was working on maintaining my pace the whole race. I did not even think of competing with one other runner out there. I wasn't trying to beat anyone in particular or to stay with anyone. I just sort of kept at a steady state as I was running, just working on my pace work, hoping that I could do a pace that I could replicate for more than double the distance at the Falmouth Road Race next week. After a while, I start noticing that some of the same runners are keeping the same pace I am throughout the race. So you're seeing some of the same people up in front of me. Um, I guess that's sort of comforting that I'm not being outpaced by anyone along the way. There are people slowing down, even walking, and there are a few people going a little bit faster at this section of the course. Let's speed through it again. I kept the pace even. I ran the first mile in 7:15, and my pace for the second mile was 7:16, so pretty good for staying on pace. One problem with the course is it's so straight. You just keep seeing the road going off in the distance and off in the distance, and runners up ahead of you. Um, it seems sort of wears on you. There's a long way to go as you're running. And I also knew there was a big hill coming up, and I haven't been running hills at all because I've been staying on flat surfaces so I don't trip again. So I knew getting up that hill was not going to be my favorite point of the race.
There you go.
For some reason, I cheered on one guy that was passing me. It's the only person I talked to during the race, sort of random on my part, but hey, it was encouraging to one person at least. Now, I've signed up for another marathon. I am going to be running the Cape Cod Marathon in October. The last time I ran that, I ran 3 hours and 38 minutes, and that was 3 years ago. And again, I was about the weight I am now, but I had a very successful racing season up until then. So, with a lot of experience with racing, I'm not at that point yet. Let's see how the training goes the next 2 months after I'm done with the Falmouth Road Race. This young girl stayed ahead of me for the most of the last mile of the race, and I'll tell you, in the end, she finished ahead of me too. So good on her. I tried to check back in time, and I think I've run this race 13 times. My fastest was in the year 2000. That was 26 years ago. I ran 17:53. My most unique race was the year someone took my keys by mistake after the race to my car, and I had to walk 23 miles home to Nashua, New Hampshire from 11:30 at night to 5 something in the morning. Very memorable evening. And last year I ran the race without any training due to a broken cuboid bone. About 100 meters into the race, I had to stop and take out the foot insert I had in my foot that I hadn't practiced with because I hadn't been running, and it was already giving me problems and blisters, and it took a couple minutes to get that out. So it wasn't much of a race except to just see if I could run 3 miles before doing last year's Falmouth on little training. Oh boy, here comes a left-hand turn, and then the dreaded hill, which I was not looking forward to. So as we watch myself falling behind the other runners going up the hill, earlier I mentioned I had run a marathon in 6 decades of my life. Now, back after the Boston Marathon, I saw that Boston Marathon race director Dave McGilvery had made a post that said someone had informed him he had run a marathon in 7 decades of his life, starting from teens into the 70s, and that they thought only 7 other people are known to have done that. So in 2.5 years, I turned 70. You better believe I'm going to be running a marathon at that time to get on that 7 decades list. Andy Burfoot, one of the people on the list who is going to be going for 8 decades soon, he's the 1968 Boston Marathon champion, has put together a webpage on the now 11 people known to have done a marathon in each of 7 decades of their life consecutively. And it includes 3 Boston Marathon champions, 4 men who have run in the Olympics. It has no females on the list that we know of yet, but maybe when Joan Benoit Samuelson turns 70, she'll run another marathon and join the list, and then we can have another Boston Marathon champion, an Olympic champion, and a former world record holder on that list. But I look forward to now seeing myself as being on a list that honors an early start to running, a dedication to it, not giving up, steering clear of injuries or lack of motivation, and longevity in the sport. That's a pretty cool list to be a part of. A couple of weeks ago, I was running with my friend Brian Baker down on Cape Cod, and he's another one that has 6 decades of running in, like myself. He's a few years younger than me, but he'll be joining the list too, along with me when he hits 72. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more runners that are found and located, particularly of the guys that are in their 60s now, like myself, who may have started running marathons at the beginning of the running boom in the 1970s. Here comes the finish. I had no kick here, but we're heading towards the finish line. Didn't even try to pick it up. It just tried to keep steady. I ran the last mile in 7 minutes and 41 seconds, so a little slower than the first 2. I finished with a 23:02 final time for this race. So I finished in 220th place out of over 2,000 runners. I was 3rd in my age group, and my age graded time came out to be 17 minutes and 28 seconds, which is theoretically faster than my fastest time on the course 26 years ago. I am looking forward to the Falmouth Road Race next week, and then in October, the Cape Cod Marathon. Things are going great.